I've been using computers since before I was 2, and it's always been a big part of how I think. My path to interaction design starts in 1996 when I was introduced to Elmo's preschool game. My parents tell me that I quickly learned how to control the mouse, and that I took to dropping blocks on Elmo's head instead of actually trying to complete the game. This theme of being creative outside the bounds of the experience would repeat throughout my life. My favorite games have always been ones that require player creativity, and when I was 4 I started to modify them to see what I can make happen. The invention of Google assisted this greatly, since before then I just used Sound Recorder to edit audio. It started with the game Pets, adding new animal species, then moved on to more complicated games over time. In 2003, I worked with my dad to modify the hardware of the original Xbox to load a custom BIOS, allowing me to change games on the console. I added Star Wars characters to Halo, and changed the projectiles of weapons. This was my first introduction to programming and hexing offsets in general. The first usable version of Windows Movie Maker was released around this time, and I started making storylines with my army men, as well as making samples with music in this software called Magix.
That was a big crash and our pilot is down. I have to get past those mountains over there. Let's see what's left of the wreckage.
I did this until late 2005, then I started using game engines to tell stories instead. That year I started playing a game called World of Warcraft, and I began teaching myself 3D modeling with 3ds Max. After a while, I got tired of the official game, and I found what are called private servers. They give you the power to change things, like what I've enjoyed about creativity in games throughout my life. This has influenced my direction greatly, as it is the first time my work was able to reach thousands of people. It was a dream come true for me. With my own server having ran for a year, my player base was growing with the help of the volunteer staff I put together to help moderate the community. But then a competitor hacked us and deleted everything we've built. My staff and I almost gave up, but I still felt like things were just getting started. I restructured power amongst the team and took on more responsibility for recruitment. The hardest part was that I couldn't expect people to take me seriously, since people couldn't even distinguish my gender from my voice, let alone take direction from an 11-year-old. This was when I started with motion graphics, web design, and advertisement, with the rebranding of my new server. I did my first piece of commercial work in the field 2 years later in 2008. But I had a trick up my sleeve for my server, something that would allow us more creative freedom than anyone else had. I made it so we could add anything we wanted into the game. But getting people to download these strange files into their game wasn't exactly easy at first, especially since my 11-year-old voice wasn't the best at sales pitches, so I made my ads without voiceovers. Over the next 4 years, bringing us to 2010, the server grew quite large, and my players showed me roleplay. This inspired me to write what's today a 2,000-page novel about my character and its family. This has allowed me to continue developing skill sets learned on my server, as well as some new ones like working with voice actors and thematic scoring. A year before shutting down the server, I saw Avatar, which inspired me to learn about digital environment design and build my render farm. This had a big impact on my direction from 2009 to mid-2012. This was when I first met Art Center, and I wanted to do entertainment design with a focus on designing environments for film and games. The desire to go into this field grew stronger over the next 3 years as I did various projects. But with what's been happening to the visual effects industry as of late, I began to question if this was the right choice for me. And what I found was entertainment design wasn't at the core of what I enjoy about creative work. In early 2013, I became interested in Art Center's advertisement design program. So after directing my first internet commercial for a client, I met with the school to see if I was going in the right direction to start a portfolio for it. But in that meeting, I learned advertisement design wasn't really what I thought it was, with its focus areas like photography and copywriting. That was when I was first introduced to the interaction design program, which appeared to be more in alignment with my interests. So yet again, I took a step back, but this time it was more of a million-foot view of my life. I looked back at everything I've enjoyed creating and asked myself why. Why did I enjoy making that? I discovered that what I enjoy the most about creative work is seeing how people experience what I've made, seeing how it makes them feel, and if it inspires their own creativity. Senior year of high school starts, and I start my interaction design portfolio, and it's incredibly fun. I've designed my first apps, services, and hardware products. This is the first time my future is crystallized so clearly that I can reach out and touch it. It's what's drawn me to interaction design at Art Center.